Greetings, this is the Pan-African show on Arts TV called AfreeQa with your host Qetselawork Seifu. Thank you for tuning in, and we would like to welcome all Ethiopians that are celebrating their New Year. Happy New Year. Today we have a legend in our studio, and I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself to those that don't know you?
A musician, a music composer, arranger, and a performer, a lecturer, and a researcher, Dr. Mulatu Astatke.
A pleasure having you in our studio today.
Thank you so much.
When was your first exposure to music? Did you always want to be a musician?
It's a long story, you know. When I was a kid, I was really good on physics, chemistry and maths, so I always really loved to be aeronautical engineering or something to do with a plane. Anyway, that was all my dream. But I went to this very interesting high school, because Europeans usually they said, how do we create a person? That's their first question. And you create a person from kindergarten up to 12th grade. That's where you can create a person. Anyway, I was so lucky. I went to one of those schools usually concentrated so much on how to develop a person. So I was studying, giving us everything what a person should need to become somebody anyway. So I remember from Monday to Friday, whatever we do in the class, on Saturday morning, all the professors, the teachers have a meeting about each one of us. This is to find out our talent, to find out about what to do and where to go. So I remember when I finished, they say to me, Mulatu, but then they give us music, dance, and theater, everything also. Everything what a person needs, they give us. So I remember when I finished, they said, Mulatu, I think if you become a musician, you'll be successful. That's how their assessment about me and whatever. So, you know, I went to music line. I went to Trinity College in London, studying classical, all that kind of music in London. And that's how my musical life started.
Beautiful. Before we go any further, recently you were awarded by France's cultural minister.
Yeah.
You were bestowed the Order of Arts and Letters.
Yeah, it was very interesting. You know, I played at the Paris Opera House. I played all top places in France, actually. And audience had so great, so interesting. And also they have a very high respect for African culture and music in France. So this is what I learned, this is what I found about it, because, you know, Africa has contributed so much for culture development in the world. But I always believe they're not given the credit what they should get, the African, because I always believe and a very high respect for the bush people, because they created all kind of things. Like, I can tell you here, like you come to Ethiopia, if I ask you who created the Masinko, cannot reply this. This one, but the guy who created the Masinko to me is the guy who created the cello, because I have the same sounds, cello and the Masinko. But the cello, they've managed to develop it. You can do whatever you do on the piano, you can play in cello. But in Masinko, you are limited to 4 notes and 5 notes. That's the difference. But anyway, I really respect for the French of giving me that award, which I think is not only for Mulatu, but it is a respect for Africa.
Your music is extremely global while being also local. Did you grow up listening to international music?
Well, you know, as I told you, when I was more young, I was in England. I was not listening too much to our music, too much. Because, you know, in high school, we listen to different kind of music, of the world music. You know, we listen to French, Italian, British, and African. We listen to all kind of music, you know, all kind of thing. But as I told you, my interest was not that. My interest was to become an engineer.
Exactly. So music.
Yeah, not in music. That comes afterwards.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Who were your favorite musician as a young man?
In the world,
In the world, yeah. Because we all have our favorites.
My favorite musicians are the Bush people. Because they created us. They create all kind, like I told you now. Take the Masinko, scientist, to me, is the same level like who created the piano, who created the guitar, who created the saxophone. But we never give him that respect as a scientist. We really think we should learn to respect that people, that man, those people. So my greatest people, my heroes are the people from the bush. Because you can see the dances, how all this, the modern dances in the world, which is created, comes out from these bush people. The musical instruments come out from these bush people. So I have a very high respect to the bush people. I can tell you the big story, like I involved myself in the science of jazz. Mm-hmm. Now you take the tribe, the Darashis tribes. If you take the tribe, the Darashis, now they are out of Ethiopian modes. Like, whatever, like, I think I always had a program in London. Last time I remember I had a beautiful program called Ethiopian Contribution to the Science of Jazz, featuring the Darashis music. Because if you go back to like Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, all those great jazz musicians, we were like improvising, you're doing something, you have two diminished scales used for that science. So the Rashi plays one of that notes, but where they got it, how they got it, where it comes, God knows, because we don't do a lot of research. But to me, for example, like while improvising, we go those are the diminished scale I'm talking about. So the Darasha use a very interesting one of that diminished scale. They are out of Ethiopian modes. So they are one of the greatest scientists, and I think they're one of the creators. Like, wait, we talk about Charlie Parker, we talk about Mike Davis, but the thing is, like, might take time, but really say who is first to use these modes. It is Charlie Parker, blah, blah. But I was asking my professor at Berkeley. I was here at Berkeley now. So I made him listen to what I've done with the Darashis. So I asked him when I was here at Berkeley, he was teaching me how Charlie Parker, Miles Davis use all these diminished scales. But my question was, who were first? Was Charlie Parker or this tribe? So we need to work. We need to really very hard to find out about these great scientists, the Darashis to me.
Only because we've never done research on it, right?
Well, I've done quite a lot.
You have?
Yeah, because in London, I told you, I had there is a band called the Hackney Band. It was on BBC. Mulatu with the Hackney Band. I did a program called Ethiopian Contribution to the Science of Jazz, the Darashis. What was the concert about? Very interesting, a beautiful concert. So that shows our contribution to the world and shows what the Darashis has contributed to the science of jazz. And they are Ethiopians. So this is our contribution to jazz.
Beautiful. So I want to ask you about your experience in Sao Paulo.
My experience
Yes.
in São Paulo. Well, Criollo, you know, is Michael Jackson's of Brazil.
Okay.
He's a great musician and he's got a really great respect and love to my music and to me. And it was so nice. I really enjoyed playing with the group and them in São Paulo. But the thing is, what my experience was, we have a lot of connection culturally with the Southern America. Like you can take like this, the drashes, the dances, or the musical instruments and everything. I think the source is Africa. So I think this was my experience. This is what really connects us with Brazil, with most of Latin American musicians, Cuba. All these are connected to Africa.
Right.
So what really interested me was to really talk and make research about the connection between Southern America and Africa. To me, what I think is all great African contribution to those regions. And I was doing quite a lot of research about this. But with Criollo, what we've done was Ethio-jazz. That was a fusion we did with him. And a really great musician, great experience. And you know what Ethio-jazz is all about now. It is so big, so famous in the world. Like I was playing, remember, in Tokyo, in Japan. There were 120,000 people. Maybe you know this is called the Fuji Festival. I was one of the featured that there were 120,000 people. And I remember once, what really connects us is the modes also. Now I said, let's play Yekarmuso. I started playing Yekarmuso because of the modes. They loved it and they went really very excited about this modes and the music. And this showed the connection between Japan, Ethiopian, you know, the 5 modes and whatever, the 5 scales, the 4 modes connection. But that's what showed. So all those people were standing and they asked me to play it again. For 120,000 people. That shows really we have the most connection between Ethiopia and the Asian countries. Show this most. You ask me my experience in Brazil. The same, again, African contribution. The dances, the music, everything very African, but only the language. But I'd always say, Africa is the greatest. I contribute so much, so great to the world musical development. Very high respect. And that comes through our, what you call the bush people, who created, who gave us the masinko, the crowd, the washing. You go to the southern Ethiopia, the Russian, everything. So those are what they've given us, what they have contributed. And then after that, it passes to the other part of the world also. But the thing which really feel sorry always about it, we have never given respect. They should be respected as any composers in the world. We should learn to do that, I think.
Was your family supportive when you decided to go into music?
Well, music was never been respected in the third country, in Ethiopia or whatever, because you always take music as to waste time, to enjoy, probably to dance or whatever. So, you know, I had a big problem with my family. Because I said first I was telling me I want to be an engineer. Then after I went there, I changed my mind, I want to become a musician. So they never accepted this. I had a lot of problems to understand, to explain what music, science is all about. But finally, they agreed. So I continued, I studied at Trinity in London. That's how I came into music.
Could you walk us through your musical education experience before you returned to Ethiopia? Like you went to Trinity and then from Trinity you went to Berkeley?
Yeah, from Trinity, when I was in London, like at Trinity actually, I had some really African musicians friends in London. And we've been discussing about this, what I've talked about, contribution and everything. And so then I said, I decided, why don't I go to the science of jazz, study myself to the science of jazz. And then the best institution, the best place in the world is Berkeley for this. Then I took the entrance, then I passed it. Then I became the first African in 1958 to enroll at Berkeley.
Wow.
And also I'm the first received a doctorate from Berkeley, the first African.
For his unique contributions in creating the Ethio-jazz style and his enduring international influence, I'm pleased to present Mulatu Astatke with Berkeley's Honorary Doctor of Music degree.
So the experience at Berkeley was really very interesting, very nice. And because I remember, like, we do a lot of, in the classroom, they used to give us assignment to do like research about Duke Ellington, about Charlie Parker, about, you know, assignment, research. So I always say, how did these people become great? How did they become recognized in the world? So I start thinking at Berkeley, how to be recognized, how to become myself, Mulatu. Then I'm thinking of, and then Ethio-jazz comes to my mind. That's how I start playing around with Ethiopian different modes, try to use it with jazz and things like that. But so interesting. Then I left to New York after Berkeley. I did my first Ethio-jazz in 1960s or something. About 50 years ago, I started my first album on Ethio-jazz. So this Ethio-jazz became so very interesting science, because what I did was to put the 4 Ethiopian modes, Anchoyetis, Ampasalbati, in the bottom. So it always become Ethiopian, the root will be Ethiopian. So I developed the world on top of that. And that fusion is not easy, really, because there is harmony structure, there are voicing, yeah, the feel which you have to really be careful so it doesn't go direct to the jazz or go to someone else. So it has to have that, the Ethiopian character, the Ethiopian sounds, and that's how I created Ethio-jazz. Then the first album I made in New York became so successful, so beautiful. And that's how Ethio-jazz started. Then now it's so big in the world, you know, like the audience 120,000, I play all over in the world, you know. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I was in Morocco, Casablanca, a beautiful concert. I was in Madrid, I was in Barcelona, I was all over. Beautiful concert, very successful. So this is how Ethio-jazz is in the world now. It's so famous, so big. Also, like I had a chance to play Ethio-jazz with the greatest, with Duke Ellington. He played one of my compositions, which he really loved it, very interesting. And I remember what Duke says to me, I've never expected this from an African.
Oh, he said that?
That's what he said.
I mean, isn't he an African?
I mean, the science.
Oh,
the
okay,
fusion,
okay.
the jazz. Yeah, because, they play straight jazz, and when they see these fusions, the 5 notes, the fusion, the 12 notes, he found it very interesting.
Yeah.
He said, he never expected this from Africa, because it's a great, beautiful fusion, Ethio-jazz. And really, a great respect, which I'll never forget from Duke. Thank you so much.
That's beautiful. It's so interesting that you brought him up. I did have a question about Duke Ellington, because it does talk that you actually had a moment with him. And I'm glad you brought him up before I asked the question.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
How and where did your exposure to jazz, Afro-Latin, and funk music begin?
Well, as I said to you, you take Afro-Latin. Now, because I always believe all this, the Afro beats, everything is African credit, which the greatest creators, which I told you about, the Bush people. Now, you can take the Latin. Now, they have this thing they call montuno. They have the same kind of thing in Zaire. Now, which is first? You don't know. So, always we have a good connections with the Latin music, African connection, all this. So, how do I come into Latin music? Because it's not only, how do you research music? This is the question. You don't only listen to melodies. You research music, but the rhythmic side, the harmonic structures, the voicings, the counterpoints, and then that's how you do a research about music. That's how you analyze music. Now, to my music, to Ethio-jazz, like now it's different. But when I was in New York, I was doing this montuno, but to do a montuno on a 5 notes was not easy. To get that feel, that mode, to do it on a 5 mode was so difficult. That's another beautiful correction. To the montuno on the 5 notes. That was another contribution. But also the montuno brings up Africa. It shows you Africa, the contributions of Africa. So what I did was Ethio-jazz and the montunos, the jazz, all put together, other ups to Ethio-jazz. That was the science about. And still, you listen to Ethio-jazz because I have the 4 modes on the bottom always. It's always Ethiopian.
Wow, beautiful. Was it an easy decision to return to Ethiopia? Were you gigging and making money in the US at the time, before you came to Ethiopia?
In America?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was playing in different places in New York. I was playing in DC. I was playing in Boston areas. I was playing in a lot of different places, yeah. And also, I played in England before I go to America also, music.
Okay.
Maybe you know Edmond Ross, you heard of Edmond Ross? I played with Edmond Ross in London.
Wow.
And Edmond Ross had one of the most beautiful clubs at Regent Street in London. So I played with him also. So I played with like top musicians, top people in the world. And I had the chance to play with him. But Ethio-jazz was not really very much introduced at that time.
Okay.
But it was after I left for America, after I come out with these albums, LPs, blah, then become big.
Okay. So when you decided to come back home,
Yeah.
was it an easy decision, or did you have to really like think about it, or you just got up and came?
Well, I mean, the whole purpose, the whole aim, me of going there studying music and art is to come and introduce in my country. And also to upgrade Ethiopian music, to upgrade our music, our art, our culture, and give it to the world so they can appreciate. Well, that was the whole idea. So when I come back, I try to introduce Ethio-jazz, introduce jazz music. I tell you, he said, they've told me to get off from the stage. There was a big show. They had a program called Days of Melodies. And if you remember, maybe, the Taggai Gabaramedin's play, Petros Yachin Saad.
Yes.
I did the music. Me and Taggai, we did the Petros Yachin Saad. It was so interesting. So those people, and I had Raunga Sesses, Kuluman College, that was a hit in Ethiopia. So they came and said to me, Mulatu, you play Kuluman College. No, I said, no, I don't play. See, I have a composition, Petros Yachin Saad, I'm playing Petros Yachin Saad. I had the Bagana player, I had the Masinko, all fish. Said, this is what I'm going to add. They taken it Kavaro. They said, no, I want you to play Kuluman College. I said, no, I don't. So finally they said, okay, do what you want. So I remember I started Petros Yachin Saad. So I had a Bagana player, I had this, packed place that ambassador was packed. Then we started playing Bagana, Demise Bagana, he was at the best. And then suddenly he played, and then I started improvising. They shouted, they say, get off. They get off the stage. They wanted to get off, they don't understand. They don't understand it. So I went through all these problems. I've been told to get off. But after 50 years of this traveling all over, putting Ethio-jazz up to the world now, they say, let's listen more. They don't say get off.
They say come back.
They come back. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, like we went through a lot of things. I think, like I could have stopped music when they told me like get off from the stage, like shouting to me like that. I could have get demoralized. I could have said no more music. But I said, no way. I'll show them, I'll fight them back. I fight, and here I am now.
Here you are.
Yeah.
So was your country, Ethiopia, receptive to your unique recording sounds when you first arrived? Well,
No,
you kind of
but,
said it now.
Because, like I did Kuluman College when people went go crazy. It was so accepting.
So we have choices of what we like and what we don't like,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was what I was trying to win out with Straungasas. As I said to you, how do you analyze? It's not only the Kuluman College. What I had in behind, what I was doing, the chord changes, the voicings, and the bass line. That bass line is the one who really changed the Chik-Chika rhythm, the feel. That line, long time ago. So they loved it. It was so interesting and very accepted, and I think it was so beautiful.
So now I'm going to take you back to when you first arrived in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
When you first arrived, how was the music scene here?
Well, there were great musicians, great group, like Korzabanya, you take the Polish. They even have a symphony, the Polish Symphony Orchestra. It was like the National Theatre, Bieraj Theatre. Musicians, like the saxophone player, Getachew Mokra, Marawi Setot at the National Theatre. You see, and nurses was around. Nurses was doing most of the arrangements, most of the things, nurses and Alvandi.
Yes.
But you see, the analyzation, how is their music and Ethio-jazz, if you analyze the two differences, two different music. So what they were doing is, before I came, is like more what you call the canon forms. Like this is what you call a canon form. There was not really very much sophisticated, the harmonics, the improvisations, the voicing, not that much into it. But still have a very high, a greater respect for those people who are trying to improve Ethiopian music. And the saxophone players, those are the starting, this is how you started. So, you know, I have really great respect for those people, like I tell you, the Korzamenya, the Dorsarai, the National Theatre, and also our cultural musicians also. Very high respect for those people. Now when Ethio-jazz comes, entirely different music, a different approach, a different style, a different, you know, way. So what I was listening when I arrived was those musicians from Kuzanya, Dorsarai, Kuzanya, and now Ethio-jazz, different type of music, a different approach, a different whatever. So I tell you, I have a big respect for those people who were doing music at that time. Like Kurzavenya, the police, you know, like we had the symphony, Polish Symphony Orchestra. It was not easy. Great musicians, yeah.
Did you play with any of them when you first arrived, or
play
did
with
you
the-
form your own band?
Yeah, I played with Getachew, Mokra
Yeah.
a lot. We did a lot of works together. And I remember there was a Ras band, Tafarra. We played with Tafarra quite a lot. Very interesting. And, well, musicians like, all musicians like Girma Bayene group, we played Pipisha, and with all the...
Are they part of the Ras band, or are they Solekos? So because you had two.
Solekos and Raspan was different. Solekos was a different band,
Okay.
But I never really had a chance playing with, you know, Solekos, those people. But I had my own way of musicians, created my musicians. Like as I told you, like the Bibisha, I did like Ethio Stars, created a group called Ethio Stars, which selected musicians from different bands, and we formed a group. So that's what we've been doing actually.
Did you also study ethnomusicology in school? How did such a strong ethnomusicology interest develop in a city?
Well, you know, I was at Harvard.
Okay.
I was at Harvard. I did a lot of research at Harvard. And also I was at MIT as well. So at Harvard, I was doing a research on Makwamia.
Oh.
That was what I've been doing, which is so interesting. Like you go to 4 centuries, I think, we used to conduct music with Makwamia before symphony orchestra was created. So if you see most of the movements of the Makwamia movement, like if you see military march band going in front, like if you see the ladies who conducts the band, from 60 to 70% of that movement is found in Makwamia. And you go to Harvard, you go to Yale, or go to Princeton. If you major in conducting, the first thing you study is this. So my research was conducting is Ethiopian contribution to the world. That's what I did in Harvard. It was so interesting. Now I tell you, you can take the kabaro now. If you get the church kabaros, it's not a rhythm keeping, it's a melody by itself. If I don't know the chanting, I don't know where to come in. That shows you the kabaro, the church is great science. It's a melody by itself. So I've been those kind of a lot of research at Harvard, in the Macombians. It was so interesting, you know.
So what did you do at MIT?
That was another interesting one. I had a program called Bringing the Asmaris to the 21st Century.
Okay.
That's all. I went to MIT. So I wanted to change the life of the Asmaris. That was a very interesting program, and it's like Masinko, the Russian, the cloud. So I always believe our greatest cultural musician, players, I feel always they are in prison. They can only play 4 notes and the 5 notes. They can't go nowhere. So they are in prison, they start. That's why I went to MIT. I want to improvise, I want to upgrade these instruments.
Right.
So I went to MIT, I was trying to computerize these instruments. In Mexico, you can play like cello, whatever. You play washing, computerize everything. So that's what I was doing at MIT. Very interesting, bringing the Asmaris to 21st century. That was the program.
So was it successful? Are we able to bring them into?
Yeah, we did halfway. What happened was the grant finished before I. So I said, no, Mulatu, it take you another 6 months, 8 months to extend the grant. So I had a concert in Germany, in Italy, blah. So I said, I'll come back, I left. So it's still open for me.
It's open for you.
Yeah. That's my next project is what I told you, all these greatest people in the bush, my heroes. I want them to be up to that standard, to be able to play whatever you play on a saxophone, whatever you play on the piano, whatever. I want those people to be able to play on their instruments. So that's what I'm struggling and working on now.
Whenever you go abroad, whenever you go play in all these different countries, there are always bands there that you actually are able to play with. Apparently there's over 88 bands that play Ethio-jazz around the world.
Yeah, I'm going to make a CD called Children's of Ethio-jazz. This is what we're working on. The guy from Paris, there are so many. America, there are so many. Australia, there are so many. In Germany, they're all over. Ethio-jazz is so big all over the world.
I know.
So now I'm making a CD called Children's of Ethio-jazz.
So did you ever have your own band in Ethiopia?
Ethio Stars.
Ethio Stars were your band.
Yeah, with Bibisha and those people. Yeah, Ethio Stars,
okay. So did you ever get a chance to perform for the Emperor, Haile Selassie?
Oh yeah, I did, yeah. At the Gion Hotel. He came at the Gion.
Okay.
Yeah, where she always comes.
I remember there's a back door, right? To come into from the palace.
From the palace. He always like 4 o'clock or something like that. He takes a walk. He had these big Australian horses at the back. So he go and feed them sugar always at 4 o'clock. So I had 25 gambelans. I brought some gambelans from 25. If you remember the Chobi Checkers, this dance, Chobi Checker.
Okay.
That's a gambela's dance. Chobi Checker. You know the American Chobi Checker?
Oh, okay.
I just want to prove, to show where they got it from.
Okay.
Anyway, I managed, but there was this head of the Haile Selassie Foundation. So, I talked to him somehow, and he was laughing because I asked him if they can come to the club and see the gambelans. He was laughing, but finally he said, "Okay, just give me 3-4 days, then I'll come back to you." I think he talked to him. He said, "Okay, I'll come." That was so great, yeah. So he came over to the club. I had this very interesting gambella group I brought. And it was, I tell you, a beautiful, beautiful, interesting show. And anyway, watched it, he loved it. And was one of those beautiful experiences. But I had a problem with the Gabelans also, because usually, I remember they came, the grasses are given, the beautiful grass outside. So usually they come and, they don't wear a bra. Yeah. They were just sleeping on the bridge, and securities people were so surprised. What's this?
Why are they naked?
Well, anyway, I had a little problem. They said, like, if any of this go into the stage without a bra, they'll put you in prison. So we've been arguing, and it was so interesting. And there is one question she asked me. It was so interesting question. And I was telling him, so I went to Mercato, I bought 10 bra. I came and asked him to put it on. I never forget, she asked me, she said, you see this? He said, yeah. Who are you to cover my face, to cover my beauty? Cannot answer this question.
No.
He said, this is my beauty. You cannot have not a right to cover my face, my beauty. I have no reply, I cannot reply. So I'm sorry, but please. I beg you. Finally they said, okay. So I gave them, they put the bra on and they started playing. Very interesting, yeah.
How did those amazing Addis Ababa recordings, because you've done quite a few recordings here.
Here in Addis,
right?
Yeah.
In Addis, yeah. How did those come about? How were you able to have those recordings done?
Well, Amaha, there was another guy called Ali. Those people were, because the Gion, the club sound is so beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful sound. We use it as a studio also. So, I was doing this Ethio-jazz, I was trying to develop music, like Amaha and the Ali, and those, they wanted to help, they want to develop together. So that's how recordings start coming up here, yeah.
Nice. Did you have a hard time playing what you loved during the Derg regime?
No. Ethio-jazz, just very instrumental. It's just instrumental, nothing. It's just science.
Nobody could get mad at anything.
It's the science of sound, the sound of science. That's what Ethio-jazz is all about.
Now I'm going to take you to Festac 77. You remember that event or celebration in Nigeria?
In Nigeria,
Festac?
Yeah.
Can you tell me your experience during that time?
Well, it's so beautiful to see all those great Africans together in one stage. That's what I really loved, I really enjoyed. And we are a group, Ethiopian national group also, performed there. And I tell you, there were over like 10,000 artists from all over Africa. And if you see, they created a village called African Village in Nigeria. If you see it in the evening, all musicians playing in the different villages, but it's just a paradise. It's so beautiful.
Very hard to even imagine.
I enjoyed it so much. It was so beautiful. Really enjoyed it.
Festac 77, the second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, held in Nigeria, brought together 15,000 participants from over 70 countries. At the official opening ceremony in the Lagos National Stadium, contingents from 47 countries paraded before government officials, visiting heads of state, and a capacity crowd of 100,000. The first contingent was from Ethiopia, which is to host the next festival.
I see Africa all together at once. I remember maybe Osibisa or those people, and I met Sandra. Sandra was also had a place where he practiced, so I go and listen to Sandra practicing.
Sandra?
Sandra, Sandra. Yeah, so beautiful. Nice. So had a chance to go and listen to his rehearsal, listen to his music, and you see the whole Africa, and Sunrise with jazz and other African groups there, the dancing and everything. It was, I don't know why really they don't keep continuing this festival. I wish they do.
I know, I wish they did too. You know what was interesting was after the Festac 77 in Nigeria, the next one or the following year was supposed to be in Ethiopia.
Oh.
But the whole world changed after that.
Yeah. But I wish,
so we never did.
I wish in the future they'd think about this. And
I am thinking about it. I want to do a Festac in Ethiopia.
You should do that.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Really, it will be so interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting.
We need to come together again in one.
Yeah. We should do that. I think.
So your other wonderful experience is people to people.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, then?
We've been all over the world.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
we've been all over the world.
when was that? Well, how was, and I guess you can also tell us the experience that you had, the good, the bad.
No, I mean, it was so nice, like, to show the world around Ethiopian culture and music. That was a beautiful, a great experience. We traveled all over. We played all over the world. You know, we played in Mexico. We played in Cuba. We played all over. You know,
That was
we traveled all over the place.
that was so beautiful.
Yeah. That was people to people was very, very, very interesting.
So Broken Flowers is a movie that has taken your music.
Yeah,
And
it's a Hollywood film
yes,
with Sharon Stone, Bill Murray, and this. It was so interesting. I remember I had a beautiful concert in New York. Jim Jarmusch, that's the man.
okay.
He's a Hollywood man. He produced so many films. So he came to my concert. He said, "No, somebody called me in my hotel in New York. They called Mulatu, you want to come over to your concert tonight?" And he said, "This is Jim Jarmusch." So he said, "We want to come over to talk to you." I said, "Okay, I'll wait for you. Come over." He said, "You'll come backstage." And blah, blah. He said, "I'll come over with all my crews." I said, "Okay." So they came to my dressing room. I said, "This is Jim." So introduced, he said, "Mulatu, I have a big admiration for you. I like your music. I like your art, your whatever you do. And I'm here also to enjoy your concert in New York now. It's so beautiful." So he said, "I have something in mind." I said, "What?" He said, "I'm making a film. So I want to use your compositions in my film." And he said, "It's a Hollywood film." I said, "Okay." He said, "No problem. Just let me know which composition with address. You just email me and let me know." So I agreed. And then what it was makes it so interesting was film came out and we won Academy Award at the Cannes Film Festival also, which is so beautiful. So what really made it interesting was, I had a lot of audience in New York, in London, a lot of audience, a lot of people coming to my concert and everything. But went back to New York, all film goers, top film people start coming to my concert. I have two great audiences, film goers
Exactly.
and the jazz lovers. So my audience just doubled up.
Exactly.
All over the world now. Because Broken Flowers, they love it, and a lot of audience, film calls start coming, they start enjoying my music, and that's how it
Opened
was.
another door.
I tell you, it was so great, I called out James, I said, "Thank you, James." Now I got a film goes coming to my concert now. I say, great, beautiful.
So now I'm going to bring you to the Ethiopic. Do you appreciate the Ethiopic release of your music? Did you approve of it? And did you get your royalties?
Well, but the whole thing of Ethiopia is like, all my aim, all my love, my understanding is to promote Ethiopia to the world. Our cultures, and it's not really to make that much money of it. And it was good, so Ethiopic came out. They introduced it all over the world. It's been out all over the world. And but as I told you before, Ethio-jazz was introduced to the world. With the records in New York, before the Ethiopic produced.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ethio-jazz was produced before Ethiopic in the world, in America. So Ethio-jazz, Ethiopic came afterwards. Now, but it's okay.
So this being New Year,
yeah,
it's Ethiopian New Year, we're getting into 2015. Any advices the young generation, the young population that we have that is going, because now, even in Addis, we have a lot of bands that are being formed on Ethio-jazz. So, any advice for the young generation?
I always say, remember I was telling you about the contribution, the great contribution of the Bush people. Mm-hmm. So I always say, please respect those people, because those are the ones who created us. So if you have more respect to them, the music will be progressing, and Ethiopian contribution to the world also be known to the world. So to the youngsters, I say, please try to promote Ethiopian culture, music and art, and also give a great respect for our creators. I can give you the question, who created the Masingo? Who created the Skista? We should be able to say, name the names of those people who created this. Now, really sorry, take the Skista. I had the chance to play with Beyonce's sister at Victoria Park in London. So we're going to the dressing room. Now ask her, but now Skista is known by Beyonce. But the Skista came up from Ethiopia. Who created? Who is this lady? Who is she? Nobody knows. So to these youngsters, please look for those great, intelligent, creative artists and give them a respect. This is what I'm to advise for the youngsters. Create beautiful musical instruments. Please give a respect to them. Give a high moral respect than most to the European musicians and to the European art and music. Because they take it from us, they develop it. I tell you now, if you take Washington, flute, if you take the cello, the masingo, so this is how it develops. So give a respect. Most youngsters should give a respect to those people which we call Bush people. They're not the Bush people. They are the greatest scientists to me. I respect them. That's my message.
Beautiful. So going into the new year, we are telling all our music lovers, music admirers, music players to have respect.
Yeah, that's what it is. Finish.
Thank you very much, everybody, and Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in to AfreeQa. This is your host, Qetselawork Seifu, with Mulatu Astatke. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you again. Thank you for your time. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope we meet again.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Amen. Happy New Year. Have a
Happy
prosperous.
New Year, everybody.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.